Okay, I'm gonna try to do this one fairly quietly because I have a bunch of sleeping kids downstairs that I don't want to wake up. So a few years back when I started this channel, I did a video about some of the things you need to purchase to start a recording studio. And I think it only has like 800 hits or something like that. So this is my chance to redeem myself a little bit. This is how to start a home recording studio for beginners. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and here we go. So things are changing really fast, and even from the last time I did a video like this, I can see that there's a lot of new technology coming to the forefront that's changing the way that we record music. For example, the M1 chip in an iPad Pro, I think it's just a matter of time before we start seeing things like Logic and Pro Tools working natively on these devices, and these will become the main devices of our recording. So with that said, the first thing that you're going to need to start a recording studio is a really good computer. So when I say a really good computer, I'm not saying you have to go out and spend thousands of dollars on the top of the line computer. You just want to have something that has enough storage, enough memory, enough CPU power to do what you need to do. This is a question that you have to ask yourself when you're starting a recording studio is, what kind of projects am I going to take on? Am I going to be doing big band recording? Well, in that case, you're going to need to have a computer that has a lot of memory. You're going to have an interface that can handle those inputs. This can vary depending on what you want to do. My recommendation is look at what you have now and try to make that work first. The truth is, recording audio isn't like recording video where you have to have a ton of space or a ton of processing power. You can get by with your everyday computer. So in my little studio setup, I use a MacBook Pro. I do a lot of stuff on the go. I do stuff downstairs. Not necessarily everything is in this room here. So to me, a laptop is the way I want to work. The nice thing about my MacBook Pro, it has enough horsepower for what I need it to do. Now, generally when I record, I don't use a lot of plugins, but I do have the horsepower there if I need it. With that said, you might not want to go that route. You might be doing demos for yourself, and in that case, you can probably use something a little bit older and it'll work just fine. So this brings me to the second part of building a recording studio, is that you're going to need a DAW, a digital audio workstation. This is software that you have on your computer that is going to become the main brain matrix of your studio setup. If you're looking to produce bands or just bigger arranged music in general, you're probably going to want to go with something like Pro Tools or Logic. If you go with Logic, you're going to have to be using a Mac computer, so just keep that in mind. If you're going with the Pro Tools route, that works on both. Both Pro Tools and Logic are paid software. So with Pro Tools, you pay a subscription and it can get expensive. With Logic, you can spend, I think it's like $300 and it's yours forever and you get the updates and it works great on a Mac. Now, I use Pro Tools more, but I do use Logic as well. Logic is really great for writing right out of the box. It has a ton of great effects, plugins, MIDI effects. But I find with Pro Tools, if you tend to do a lot more editing, I find it's a little bit easier, and it's just designed to be an all-around better editor. Here's the thing when it comes to software and audio workstations. Don't feel that you have to master all of them. Find one that you love, whether it's Logic or Pro Tools or Reaper or Ableton, Waveform, Cubase, whatever. Find what you love, because they all do the same thing at the end of the day, and get really good at it. Because remember, the artist isn't paying you for your software. The artist is paying you for how well you work with that software. If you love Cubase and you just want to master it, go for it, because that's what's going to make you valuable. Not that you know a little bit of each, but that you know one really well. Now, if you're not looking to spend any money or little money on your digital audio workstation, there's also some really great options out there. You can get a free copy. Reaper, you can get a free trial period. And I think it's like $60 if you want to buy it out. It's really good software, and Reaper is becoming probably one of the biggest growing communities in audio out there right now. So there's a lot of great resources if you decide to go that route. If you buy a Focusrite interface, I think you get Ableton Live and you get Pro Tools first. Don't sweat it having to pay for your software right out of the bat. There's some really good options to get you up and running right away. So this brings us to the next piece of the puzzle, which is our interface. And the interface has a very important role when it comes to audio production. And this is something that you want to really think about depending on what kind of workflow you want to do. So the first rule of an interface is that it has a preamp functionality. So when you record with your microphone, it has a very low microphone line level, and the preamp's going to boost that. It's going to add energy or gain to that signal. And that just gives us something that we can work with. From there, it goes to the next part, which is what's called a converter. And this ADDA converter stands for analog digital, digital to analog converter. It's going to take that signal and convert it from an analog signal to a digital signal using binary, so ones and zeros. And that's what the computer is going to be working with. It also will take the output from our computer and convert it to analog so we can hear it through our headphones or our speakers. So the interface is a very central device to our recording setup. If you're just looking to do like voiceover work where you need like a single input, then you can get like a single solo Focusrite input. I personally recommend spend a little bit more and get something like a Focusrite 2i2. They're not a lot of money, but it gives you two preamps, so if you want to do any stereo recording, you have that ability. Another really good interface that I recommend is the SSL2. If you don't know, SSL is a very high-end brand, so for the price point, you're getting two SSL preamps, which is really good. If you're looking for something where you need more inputs and outputs, let's say you have a band that you want to work with, you might need something that has like 8 ins and multiple outs. So then you can look at something like a Focusrite Scarlett 1820. It'll give you 8 Focusrite preamps, so you can have 8 microphones hooked up so you can record a drum kit. And normally they have like an ADAT connector in the back where if you need more, you can hook up multiple of these interfaces and get 16 inputs. And so now all of a sudden you're doing full studio band production, which is really good. So this brings us up to the fun part, which is the microphones. There are a ton of really awesome microphones out there, and there are great microphones at any price point. Again, you have to ask yourself, what kind of production am I looking at doing? If you're looking at doing just vocal production for yourself, then you can get away with just getting maybe 1 or 2 really nice microphones. If you're looking at doing a band production, then you're going to want to look at different kinds of microphones for drums and vocals and all that stuff. So let's kind of break it down. So the first kind of microphone is a dynamic microphone. And a dynamic microphone is built based off of a diaphragm that is hooked up to a coil and a magnet. When you sing into that microphone, that diaphragm vibrates back and forth, which creates a very small voltage signal which eventually travels to your preamp, and then it gets boosted, which goes into your interface. And as we talked before, in a condenser microphone, it uses a capacitor, so it's very similar. It has a diaphragm. As you sing into it, that diaphragm moves closer and farther back from a plate that's charged, and that'll send a signal down to your preamp. And that the difference between the two is condenser microphones are much more sensitive and they tend to pick up more nuances. A dynamic microphone is great because they're not as sensitive, so if you have to do something like drums or something loud and more percussive, my recommendation is if you're going to buy just one microphone, you're probably going to want to get a decent condenser microphone. And there's a lot of really good condenser microphones out there. Now, if you're on a budget, what I would recommend is get something like an Audio-Technica 2020. That has been a great condenser microphone. A Rode NT1 is a really good microphone at an entry-level price point too. If you have a little bit more of a budget and you want a really good microphone, I would recommend something like an SE 2200. I think you can buy them for like $400 brand new. They are amazing microphones. They sound fantastic. Here, okay, so this is my SE 2200 I found on eBay for $200. It sounds amazing. I've used it quite a bit now since I got it. Yeah, it's a great microphone, and if you have the budget, you can find one. I say go for it. Warm Audio also has a microphone at around $400. It's the WA47 Junior. I did a review on that years ago. If you're looking to get some dynamic microphones, I would recommend getting a couple SM57s, an SM58. These are microphones that are very versatile, great on guitar, great on vocal. Another thing to think about too is if you're looking at doing any stereo recording, so if you want something for overheads or you're doing, you want to do stereo miking on an acoustic, then I would recommend looking at something like the Rode NT5s. Getting a pair like that, I think they're like under $500 for the pair. It's probably even less than that now. But these are microphones you're going to use all the time. They're not going to sit on a shelf because stereo recording is something you're probably going to do quite a bit. They're very easy to maneuver. They're easy to set up if you want to do like if you want to set up something where you're doing like an XY pattern or just like a spaced pair. I was told a long time ago that whenever you buy your microphones, you should always buy them in twos. If you have a bit more of a budget, and let's say you want to spend about $1,000 on a microphone, there's the Neumann TLM 103, which is a great vocal microphone. You might even be able to find yourself like an AKG 414, which is a very versatile microphone. And actually, I think I would take that over the TLM 103. Let me know what you think. If you have used these microphones in the past, which one did you like better? I'm on the AKG side, but... So this brings us to the next part, is how are we monitoring everything? We're going to need a set of speakers and we're going to need some headphones. So when it comes to studio monitors, I recommend getting active monitors because it has the power amp built in. You can pick up passive monitors, but that just means you're going to have to buy the speakers and you're also going to have to buy some kind of power amp for them too. So you can pick up the KRK Rocket 5s or check out the Yamaha HS8s. They've been around for a while. Those are what I use. If at this point, however, monitors are out of your budget, then you want to invest in a good set of headphones. And the nice thing is there's some really good tech out there now that makes mixing on headphones a lot easier, which is really good. So I have a few recommendations when it comes to headphones. The ones that I use a lot are the Sennheiser 280 Pros. I've used those for years now, and I seem to have like 5 pairs of them kicking around. That's what I used whenever I had artists that needed to monitor. Audio-Technica has a really nice range of headphones as well. You can get the ATH M50X. Another pair of headphones that I would recommend is by Bear Dynamics, the DT770 Pros. They have really long names for headphones. But anyways, they're a very comfortable pair. I got to use them in the past and I really like them. If you find that you're going to be doing majority of your mixing on headphones, there's some really nice plugins out there that will help improve your mixes, if you will. So recently I've started using the NX Oceanway plugin, which is made by Waves. This room isn't much of a mixing room. It's basically just a room in my attic, so it has a lot of issues. So to kind of reference my mix a little bit more, I've been using that plugin on my master, and the outcome has been surprisingly really good. If you have to use headphones, there are plugins out there that can help improve your reference, and I'll put everything down below so you can check it out for yourself. A MIDI keyboard might be very useful as well if you're doing a lot of MIDI work. So anyways, that's my video. I hope this was helpful. I hope this gave you some pointers on what to look for when you're building your own studio. Let me know in the comments what you found, anything that you have questions about. Let me know and I will get back to you, and thank you so much. Please like and subscribe, and I will talk to you later. Take care, everyone.